So, enablement on steroids, and think this is okay. But what I wanted to say is that those types of obnoxious behavior, they all have consequences. Today, I wanted to talk about something that is completely out of character for me. I consider myself a playful and positive, a very positive person. I have a very positive outlook on life. And this was the way I grew up, and this is the way that I see things. But I want to discuss something serious that we are living. And I see this especially nowadays with a lot of enablement everywhere. But let me start by telling you what happened. This week, I had a meeting with a client. So I've been a freelancer for years. I think I talked about this before, not sure, in one of my channels. Anyway, but beside my meditation endeavors, I am a freelance writer, creator, and SEO specialist. So I do things out of my meditation activities, several things. And by the way, SEO, for those who don't know, is a segment of digital marketing that works with improving websites or website performance in search engines, especially Google. But I don't want to stretch this conversation with this as it can be very extensive. So let's get back. But this week, I had this meeting with this client in which I wanted to go over the work I did on her website and provide recommendations for her. I knew that a lot of things were technical, so I figured she would have plenty of questions for me. Now, the client I am talking about is the owner of a yoga studio. And then you would think, oh, yoga. Oh, by the way, I am a yogi. I've been a yogi for, I would say, about 10 years, more than 10 years. And yoga is really a big part of my life, like meditation. So I was very excited that I could unite my passion for yoga and the work I do in business with SEO in this project. But again, you would figure that as a yoga person, as yogis, people are peace and love, they are laid back, all cool, understanding, deeply spiritual. But little did I remember that there are all kinds of people in this world. And what I mean by that is that this woman, apparently, she said she was taking medication, she was sick. So, what I gathered from her demeanor is that she blamed her sickness or illness. But putting it simply, she was a complete brat. Let's put this way. So while we met for, I would say, about 1 hour, she was very passive aggressive, condescending, and I would say she was basically kind of bullying. For example, I had one of the spreadsheets open, and while talking about the data, she would ask me questions. But instead of seeing it as a collaborative approach, she would say things such as, oh, I don't know, because in fact, I'm paying you to do that. I would expect you to know. Okay. Um, what happened was that I was trying to explain very complex information. So I tried to make that information as easy as digestible as possible. And one of the big highlights of this meeting, in apparently got her up in arms, was that I was trying to recommend her to do something that is essentially technical on her website based on Google's best practices. And by the way, I follow Google's best practices, but I didn't write Google's best practices. So at one time, we spent about 50 minutes with her going around and around, asking me why I should do this way when I could do that. And then I would explain very nicely. And then she would come again. But why? Why I need to do this? Why I have to go for that trouble? And then I would explain again, based on Google's best practices, it's better for her to go a certain way, follow these specific steps, although it is her website, it's her choice, she could do what she wanted, whatever she wanted. But just to keep the video concise, I was given the information based on best practices, my experience, my knowledge, and my specialty in this area. I've been doing this for many years. And then I had different websites and brands, so I know exactly what I'm doing. Oh, and by the way, you know what she told me? She told me that I should have talked to her as if I were talking to a child, which in my mind, again, was like another way of blaming the person, of gaslighting, of showing a very aggressive narcissistic behavior. And for me, I put a lot of effort in this project, as I usually do with all of my projects, but I felt very special about that. So I had a Google Doc and then several documents, including spreadsheets, screenshots, a report, etc. So there were a lot of details involved in it. And again, I was very enthusiastic about it. So by getting to my point, for me, it was a clear example of people creating excuses for their issues. The type of behavior that some people have of blaming another person for their problems, not taking responsibility for them, and blaming other people. And this is something that this week was very clear to me. Through more than 20 years living in this country, in the US, I see a pattern in people, a serious pattern of blaming. Have you seen that? So, a pattern of people putting their heads in the sand and blaming other people. Because, after all, it's always other people, right? Other people are always the creators of my problems. I never did anything. It's never me. Never me. It's always somebody else. And this type of behavior needs to stop. It needs to stop for multiple reasons. And let me explain you from a 3D and a 5D perspective. So let's start with our perspective as humans in the 3D. So first of all, as adults, we need to grow up and take responsibility for our problems. This is common sense. People are not the creators of our problems. We are the creators of our problems. Because whether you believe it or not, we are always vibrating energy. Everything in this world, in this universe, is vibration and energy. And we all live different life experiences. We all face different obstacles. By the way, we all, no exceptions, face obstacles. So some people suffer from trauma, other comes from a very dysfunctional environment. But ultimately, it's our choice to make a change. We have a free will. What I see nowadays is that people are enabled to be mean, bully, use their narcissistic tactics, and perpetuate their dysfunctional behavior. And They think that it's okay, that it's cute, that it's lovely, but it's not okay. It's not cute. It's actually extremely disturbing and dysfunctional. And if we get wounds or traumas that we need to heal as adults, that's what we do. We heal the trauma, the wound, but we cannot just put a band aid, pretend to let go, and blame other people for it. And this is just one thing. The other point is the entitlement mentality. Some people grow up in environments where they are emboldened to be obnoxious. And therefore, they become narcissistic adults with mean, bully, narcissistic, and overall obnoxious behavior. Oh, by the way, I also have a background as a teacher, and I studied child development. And do you know, one of those things I could spot right away in classes and working with children in different settings? The children who had a tendency to be bullies. Oh, I could see right away. Right away. You know the children who grow up to be adult bullies? Oh, yeah, I can spot right away. And this is the problem. Because people grow up in the environments, living this life, and eventually being enabled by other people and then thinking this is normal. And then they perpetuate this type of behavior. But again, it gets to a point that we need, as human beings, as an adult, to take responsibility for our behavior, our problems, and ultimately get out of high school. Nowadays, I think it's worse because I see a lot of enablers everywhere. At the same time that one side of the aisle paints a pretty picture of everything and keeps enabling people, on the other hand, there is another side that emboldens the crowd with its best tactics. Bullying, narcissistic, egoistic, and grandiose behavior. So, enablement on steroids, and think this is okay. But what I wanted to say is that those types of obnoxious behavior, they all have consequences. And now, getting to the spiritual side, the 5D take on this. So, for those who don't know, we are subject to the law of karma. Karma is out there, and as the adage says, is IBITC8. Because for every action, there is a reaction. And there will be a consequence, or multiple consequences. It might not come today, it might not come tomorrow, next week, or even next year, but eventually it will come. It will come around to bite whoever needs it. And again, we live in a world of vibration. And whatever we vibrate, we receive it back, whether good or bad, whether positive or negative, we receive and we receive in double. But this is not all. There is also divine justice. We have our spirit guides, our spirit team guiding us and protecting us, and the divine knows when justice needs to be served. And there are a lot of people in this world, they have almost a barrier around there, and that there is nothing to get to reach them. A barrier of protection. So while some things may seem to go away in the 3D, there is no such thing like that in the spiritual realm. We all pay our dues, no matter what. As I mentioned previously, I'm always the type of person who prefers to share positive messages to uplift people. But at the same token, to put my head in the sand was never my option. Because when we decided to take this neutral approach, we are ultimately taking a position. And I don't want to be part of the problem. I have it very clear in my mind that I want to be part of the solution. And I wanted to talk about this today because I'm sick and tired of the enablement, this bullying that is clearly seen everywhere. And just remind everyone that the next time you think about engaging in unconscious behaviors and hurting someone for whatever reason, think twice. Because karma will come back to bite you right there, you know where. So, this is what I have for you today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Take care.